No, Driscoll Children's Hospital here in Corpus Christi requires millions of dollars each year just to maintain their state-of-the-art treatment facilities. Raising that kind of money is always the goal of the annual Fiesta de Los Ninos fundraiser at the American Bank Center. Our Brian Burns has an update on what's planned for this year's event, which is coming up on Friday.
Any of the big pieces of equipment at this hospital or most others can easily run into the millions of dollars nowadays. And that's exactly what they're trying to accomplish for this year's Fiesta de Los Ninos.
13 years ago, it cost about $1.5 million. And now it's probably about $2.5 million. So inflation is real, but it's something that we use every day.
Driscoll Children's Hospital pediatric radiologist Dr. Alistair Arnold is talking about a CT scanner which takes detailed x-rays of children suffering from every medical problem. The hospital needs a new scanner and hopes that funds raised Friday night at the Fiesta de Los Ninos fundraiser will help them buy one, and Dr. Arnold is optimistic.
Of course, we sell tables, and the tables usually sell out, so the community is very supportive of Fiesta de Los Ninos and Driscoll Children's Hospital.
This is the 27th annual fundraiser sponsored by Flint Hills Resources to support the hospital. The banquet featuring barbecue will include a live and silent auction and entertainment. Last year, 1,500 attended the fiesta, which raised close to $1 million for the hospital. The head of radiology says the new CT or CAT scanner is incredibly important.
It's like taking out a slice of bread and putting it up on the screen and looking at it.
Ernest Chavez says they chose the advanced technology of the CT scanner because it offers faster scan times, less radiation exposure to patients, and sharper 3D imaging. The Fiesta de los Ninos banquet is held this Friday at the American Bank Center. From Driscoll Children's Hospital, Brian Burns, 3 News.
And for more information on Fiesta de los Ninos, just visit our webpage, KIIITV.com. Okay.